Hey guys, welcome to the Late Late. I'm your host. Okay. It's a good time to be doing a podcast. A very good time to be doing a podcast. Just as this was not pre-planned to be doing it like in this like scenario. We haven't just thrown this together right now. It was planned quite a while ago, and then all of a sudden, in the last hour and a half, bam, 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 and there's a load of news. But we need to get the introductions in. So we're back again in quick succession following Friday's episode. If you haven't checked that out, go back and check it out. It's with Ryan Ward from Lakers Daily. It's a good one. And as always, I'm joined my right-hand man here, Jonathan Kernan. How are you doing on this fine Sunday, mate? Is it a fine Sunday over there?
It's a rainy Sunday in Ireland, so it's the usual Sunday. But yeah, a lot better after the news that just broke. But yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's rainy Sunday here as well. But people don't want to hear about that, and they want to hear about that we've got a guest as well. So we promised another guest, and we've got one. He's a writer for Lakers Outsider, a co-host on the Forum podcast. He's a former video editor for Laker Film Room. His video breakdowns on Twitter, he's definitely one of the best out there at that. It's Mr. Unwritten Rules joining us, Raj. This is your first time on the show. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's great to be here. I'm glad we got the all timing worked out, the 2 time zones and things like that. Yeah, this is awesome, man. You said we didn't plan this, but I feel like you were talking to Pelinka or something. You had the little him in like your back pocket or something like that to just time this like absolutely perfectly, where he drops the news and then we get a podcast. So I feel like you guys have some inside information here.
Yeah, well, I would like to think that, but that's not the case. It's just very, very lucky. Before we do jump into it, so are you telling me that your legal name isn't Unwritten Rules then? I'm actually quite
shocked. No, yeah, my mom did not come out and name me Unwritten Rules. Yeah, that did not happen. It's so crazy when I hear people actually know my name now. Like they'll call me Raj on the timeline, which is still just so weird to me. Like I'm still getting used to that. People they'll say my name. I'm like, wow, people actually know. People know my name, so I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to as well. Yeah. Well, let's jump straight into it. Right, where to start with this one? Bear with me, everyone. It's fast moving to the guests and to the listeners as well, because you can put it in the comments. If anything is happening as we're speaking, fire away, jump in. Okay. The Lakers and OKC Thunder have agreed, will have an agreement in principle on a deal to send Dennis Schröder to Los Angeles for the number 28th pick and Danny Green. I'm trying to add things onto this here. Obviously, the pick will have to be made in the draft, and then the deal will probably be finalized after that. Well, not probably, that will be the case. It's moving on really fast here. Where do we go from here? Let's throw it at Raj first. What do you think of everything that's been happening over the last hour? What do you think of Dennis Schröder to the Lakers? What do you think of Danny Green and the pick going the other way? It's pretty much, we haven't had much time to digest this. What's your overall reaction from just having the news hit you in the face like it has the rest of us?
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked because none of this was in the news, right? Dennis Schröder was a little bit linked to the Lakers, I think maybe last year, right? I think during the trade deadline, but not really much this summer. And I didn't think that they would move off Danny Green that quickly and give up their first round pick. But I like the pickup of Schröder. He's a really good ball handler. His pick and roll passing is it got a lot better last year. I think he shot a career high from 3 as well. But yeah, trading your starting 2 guard on a championship team is, I didn't expect them to do that right away before the free agency. So this is a big time move.
Yeah. And Jonathan, what do you think of Schröder? Obviously, there's assets going the other way, as there is in a move like this, but he's pretty much what we needed. I think we were speaking off air. You think he might start. I'm more thinking he's going to come off the bench, but either way, he's an incredible talent to add to the roster.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. Huge talent. Like he's still 27 years of age and averaging nearly 19 points per game, 18.9 points per game last season, 38.5% from 3-point line, 84% free throw shooter for last year. Yeah, I'm convinced he's going to be the starter for this season because obviously with OKC, they had a plethora of guards like in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chris Paul. Like he was never going to be starting in that kind of rotation, and he was the perfect person to be the third guard coming off the bench for them. And he proved himself to be like more than a willing kind of guy to play his role, to do the best of his ability. But yeah, I can see him coming to the Lakers and wanting or really fighting for the starting place. Obviously, we have Caruso, and potentially we could have Avery Bradley coming back, and it looks like this signals the end of Rajon Rondo with the Lakers, which for those who know, like that, I'm not too broken up about that. I'm not too broken up about that. But yeah, it's a really good move for him. And one thing he's going to offer us that I don't think we had at the point guard position, he's lightning quick. Like he is lightning quick. That's something like Caruso can move. He can dunk. But I wouldn't call him lightning quick. Rondo, again, has a turn of pace, but not that quick. Quinn Cook, no. Avery Bradley, not really. But this offers us a different look. And that's what we definitely need. Like I think one big area he's going to kind of improve for us is driving to the rim. Like he's not elite when it comes to driving to the rim, but he definitely gives us a better look in terms of like we were bottom of the league in drives to the rim last season, and I think he brings 12 drives to the rim per game, which is perfect for us. It gives us much better looks, spreads the floor a lot better. But yeah, I think he's going to be a great look for the Lakers going forward.
Yeah, he's a nice combination pick and roll player with Anthony Davis, because he can actually shoot off pick and rolls. He can pull up. He can score. We had trouble finding guards who can do that last season, and obviously Rondo. We had like a rocky relationship with Rajon Rondo as Laker fans, but he did show up in the playoffs. I believe Schröder kind of struggled a little bit going to the playoffs. He wasn't the same. He wasn't as consistent, but. Yeah, this is a pretty big change here to the lineup for Laker fans. And last year, I believe with the Oklahoma City Thunder, not even Milwaukee, not the Lakers, I believe they had the best fourth quarter like crunch time lineup in the whole league. They were like killing people. I think it was that 3-guard lineup that you were talking about. It was Shai, Chris Paul, and Dennis Schröder, and they had the best fourth quarter crunch time lineup. And he was a part of that. They would run offense through him as well. It would kind of switch between Paul, Shai, and him, but. And he was a big part of that. He would get buckets down the stretch. He would hit big shots for them. He has a good floater game as well. He can get in the paint. Really good mid-range game. So, yeah, this is it's great to have another ball handler. And I think you said also he's pretty young. He's 27 as well. So he'll be ready.
Yeah, I think that as a combo guard, obviously he can ball handle at the 1 if you want him to. In that second unit, he can move over to the 2. I think if he is in with the likes of LeBron and AD, he can fill that catch and shoot kind of role. There is a stat going around in Late Show Scoop. Kenny has put it in the comments here as well, that he made 41% of his catch and shoot threes. And I've got a little bit of a graph up here. The guys on Instagram Live will be able to see it. And from that right corner, from 3-point range, 54% he converted at last season. And when you're on the court with LeBron and AD, it's them corners that are going to be open, and you've got him potentially converting it. I'm not sure if that's sustainable, that moving forward to next season, but anywhere in and around, above 40% is magnificent conversion rate from there. So I just think, like, as an out-and-out scorer, I was saying to Jonathan, like, I'm not sure if this is a good comparison, but just in terms of that punch off the bench, he's a bit Lou Williams-esque, where like he can just come in and just be an ultimate flamethrower when you need it. But I just think the versatility he adds is going to be absolutely brilliant. And was anyone surprised by the pieces given up in this trade? Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? Where do you stand there? Because it's Danny Green and then it's a pick. I mean, I think Danny Green we were looking to move on from anyway, and he obviously had a few struggles, but he did bring his defensive upside. And then the pick, everyone knows my opinion on picks. They're a bit of a lottery in themselves. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. So if you can get established players from trading them in a deal, I'm more for that. What do you think, Raj, of that? What do you think of the pieces going the other way?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually a pretty big Danny Green guy. A lot of people obviously were killing him for them shooting, and I was like, he's doing so much other else. You know what I mean? He's not just a
Mm.
3-point shooter. He spaces the floor for LeBron. He's always in the right place, usually defensively. He understands schemes and like, where to go and like whether to hedge on a pick and roll or, trap or whatever the scheme that gives out. He's really good at performing it. So I thought I was actually a pretty great Danny Green guy. I've got to watch more on Schröder, but I mean, to get him for just the pick and Danny Green, I feel like is a pretty good deal. I think he was wanted for a lot more than that, especially at the deadline. The way he was playing last season, I feel like teams offered more than that. He wasn't traded. My concern though is I was looking. He's 6'1". He's actually a short point guard. You don't see him as a short point guard because he attacks the rim the way he does. But that's my concern, and I believe they'll have another pick in this draft. They're going to buy a second rounder this year. I think teams are going to sell a lot of their picks. Like a team like Philadelphia has 5 picks in this draft. They have no business having 5 picks in this draft, so I'm sure they're gonna sell a few. And I think we'll get one anyway. But I'm kind of surprised they traded their first round pick already so quickly, especially how well they draft at that level at 28. That was where we got Kuzma, Josh Hart, guys like Larry Nance were kind of in that range. So I'm pretty surprised that they traded it away, but I think this is a good deal. I think the pick in Danny Green is a good deal for a player who can score and facilitate the way he does.
Yeah, you got anything to add on to that, Jonathan?
Yeah, I was actually just doing a bit of looking up there. So yeah, I don't think any of us think of Dennis Schröder as a small guard because he plays a lot bigger than his actual size. But I just checked there; his wingspan is 6'8", so he's got long arms. So that probably makes up for his lack of height. But regarding, there's actually I was just thinking there myself as well. If you look at it, Dennis Schröder fits 5 out of 5 of the Lakers' greatest needs going into this offseason. Well, obviously defense, he's fine defensively. He's never going to be an elite defender simply because of his size. But in terms of drives to the rim, 3-point shooting, free throw shooting, secondary playmaking, and third scorer, whether it's off the bench or in the starting lineup, he offers the full array of things that the Lakers probably would have looked at the playoffs and said, okay, this is areas where we're weak. And he's coming in, filling in basically every need. And I've been talking about Derrick Rose or like into a weirder extent Russell Westbrook, but at least Dennis Schröder fits every need we have currently, and that's absolutely perfect. And actually about us not keeping the pick, I'm just looking at a tweet from Bobby Marks. He said that us handing over the pick allows us a decent amount of flexibility when it comes to keeping the full mid-level exception, the 9.3 million. So that could be really beneficial depending on like who we want to go for in free agency, because I think the three of us would all agree the Lakers are not done. Whether it's a trade or if picking up a big piece in free agency, this just feels like the tip of the iceberg, and it's a hell of a tip of the iceberg. So yeah I'm thrilled.
I think something else is happening here. I think something else is happening. I think it lands in free agency. That's what I think. I think is a Ibaka on the way, is a Gallinari on the way. That would be an absolute dream. That would be the perfect scenario. I mean, I think even just a useful wing player, I think I did mention him on the last pod and people kind of like threw him out, but we are losing Danny Green, who obviously is a versatile player, right over to the 3, especially defensively. Gallinari comes in and kind of covers that. But if we get someone like Ibaka off the back of this, do you think that we need that additional wing player? Do you think someone like Mo Harkless could be useful, or what do you think about the makeup of the roster moving forward?
Yeah, I definitely think we need another wing. And, it's crazy. I actually think the play of KCP in the playoffs actually made Danny Green kind of more expendable, right? KCP was so good. He started a lot of those games. He defended really well at the point of attack. So I feel like that kind of made Danny Green more expendable. And Danny Green's 33, so you're getting a lot younger also in this trade. And yeah, Ibaka would be my dream signing. I think him and Anthony Davis would just wreak havoc as a front court. Ibaka is still only 31 years old, if I checked that correctly last time. So I feel like he fits kind of the prime of this team, the championship level window. And I mean, I'm just reading here as well as things develop. Mark Stein, I believe, just said that we're looking to sign Wesley Matthews away from Milwaukee, which I feel like would be an amazing pickup. Wesley Matthews would be just amazing. I'm not sure his age as well. I don't think he's that old, at least from what I remember, but he's just a lockdown wing. I like his toughness as well. So guys like that, and I'm sure they're working. Credit to Pelinka and them for not standing pat. You know, they could have easily just said, let's just run this back, and they didn't. They put their work in to continue this roster.
Yeah, I think that Wesley Matthews signing is interesting. I've just seen that now. Just gone over and had a look at that. I think it's, funnily enough, that's literally what we were just talking about, was kind of bringing in a wing player off the back of losing Green. I'll fire it over to you, Jonathan. Were you going to say something there?
Yeah, I'd say I've just seen that Wesley Matthews thing. That's a fantastic kind of deft move for the Lakers.
He's a type of player we need.
Yeah, like he's a player that's not going to demand a huge amount of touches. He's not going to demand a huge amount of money. He's not going to be pushing, like he could be pushing for a starting place, I doubt it. But he's going to be putting himself in around. He's going to be competitive. And that's what we need. We need someone that can step up on both sides of the court. Wesley Matthews can do that. He was, before his major injuries, he was like a very decent player that had real potential. And another player we have mentioned, but I think we got a brief look at him again in the Rocket series, is Taylor Horton-Tucker. Like, I think THT and the level of kind of hype he's getting behind the Lakers staff and Lakers players are throwing behind him really says a lot that they think a lot of him and he's going to be a bigger part next season. Mm-hmm. And if Danny Green has kind of Danny Green was a plus player in the playoffs. Like I'm not going to slate him for that, but I think he becomes a lot more expendable when you have guys like Taylor Horton-Tucker, Wesley Matthews, KCP, even Avery Bradley, if he stays, which is still up in the air, is capable of playing the shooting guard spot. But yeah, if we can get, I'd hope for another wing player to come in just for added depth. Not even at the shooting guard position, but behind LeBron James would be ideal just for early parts of the season. But yeah, thrilled with the way things are breaking at the moment, and I definitely feel there's more to come.
Yeah. I think I'm a bit like, I like Horton-Tucker and I understand his hype, but I think throwing someone in that young in like an actual serious rotation spot within a championship contender, I think might be a bit tricky. I mean, he's very much in kind of like the honeymoon period, I think, where he kind of came off, played limited minutes and kind of was hitting everything possible, you know. Right. I think that I hope he's in the rotation, like the low end of the rotation, getting some minutes. But I do think that we do need to go out there and get a Wes Matthews and Mo Harkless, that type of player, if it isn't them players specifically. I think with the way things are breaking, this Wes Matthews thing, I think obviously looks like it's a serious option for the Lakers that, you know, they're looking at. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we've got some comments coming in here, so we're just going to quickly go through it. We've got here, Ibaka is next, someone's saying. We've got Late Show Scoop. How did the Lakers potentially acquiring Schröder sleep hit? Obviously, that's towards Raj there. I'm assuming Kenny might have passed out after that signing, so I assume he might have already have slept. Obviously, Kenny coming in with the stats as well, 41% of 273 catch and shoot threes in 2019-20 for Schröder. So it's not a small sample size as well. These comments are going to lead on to a comment that we've got to kind of discuss. Another comment here saying beautiful trade. I do agree with that. Amandeep, who loves the comments. Schröder is a great pickup. What we need now is a wing like Harkless or Ibaka even. Yeah, exactly what we were just talking about. And then someone saying Wes Matthews on his way. Looks like it could be potentially. But this is going to lead on to a comment from here from J Nichols 24 when we were speaking about Schröder. Me and Jonathan spoke about this off air. What's he like defensively? Is that you tell me? I don't know much about him defensively. I knew that Danny Green was a great player defensively, even when he wasn't playing well on the offensive end. He was a positive on the court purely because of his defensive efforts. Right. How does Schröder defensively fit into this team?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, like I said before, he's 6'1", so I mean, there's so much you can do defensively at that height. But he doesn't really get picked on in that way as like a defender. I think Oklahoma City. I'm not sure where they ranked defensively last year, but I don't think they were one of the worst defensive teams. And he'll be a point of attack defender. He'll have to be playing with guys like you said, bring on wings like Wes Matthews, Alex Caruso, even KCP. He can play next to those guys and just guard the smallest guy on the floor. You can hide him on shooters and things like that. But I think what he does offensively more than makes up for his defensive warts on that end. But yeah, I think he's a pretty good positional defender. I'm sure. And the Lakers, they're going to have Anthony Davis behind him. You know what I mean? So you just need guys that can kind of stay in front or pressure their man. I think he can be good in a scheme kind of place. He did well in Atlanta as well, I believe, when they were still winning as a backup point guard, as a defender there. So yeah, I have no worries about that. Danny Green was one of our best like wing kind of defenders. He wasn't as good as a point of attack, but they would throw him on guys who would kind of run off screens, and he was really good at that. So they'll definitely have to replace that, but I'm not worried about him defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's definitely an active defender. Like he's there was one thing I've been worried about him on the defensive end. He does have lapses in concentration, like most younger point guards do. Just have lapses in concentration, switch off, and then in them moments, best guards in the league are going to tear you apart. Right. But other than that, like, yeah, I completely agree with Raj. His 6'8" wingspan definitely helps his height significantly. Yeah. Because if his wingspan was the same height as he is, at 6'1", it would be kind of a little bit worried about that. But no, he's very, very solid all around. He's got great foot speed. He's got good lateral movement, which if he gets in with likes of Frank Vogel and Lionel Hollins and all these guys and kind of focuses in on the defensive system, that could be a game changer for him defensively. Like we've seen players getting much better underneath their tutelage. Like Kyle Kuzma has improved immensely in terms of his defensive output this season. And if Schröder can put in the same attention to details as Kuzma has done in that regard, he could definitely be a plus defender for this team. He doesn't have the length of Danny Green, and hopefully if Wesley Matthews comes in, he can offer some of that defense. But yeah, he's not a worry defensively. He's not going to be someone that's going to get targeted. I'm pretty certain he's not going to get targeted defensively. I think we have enough versatility across the floor and enough switchability that if he does get targeted, we can switch KCP onto a point guard. We can switch depending on who's on the floor at that time. If Taylor Tucker or LeBron is there, we can switch. But yeah, he's going to be a decent defender, but he's not going to set the world light. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen as well, just like the eye test, Schröder's a quite big frame as well, so it's not like he's a little slim, 6 foot guy that is just going to get bullied around. I think if he is going to get picked on, I think given his effort on the defensive end, whatever that may be, I think he's got the potential to stand strong and at least be difficult. I don't think he's like a Isaiah Thomas type of defensive liability. Right. So I think we're good on that end, which I was speaking to Jonathan off air about that. That was a question I had, and that's a question that we've got here. And I think we've got a perfect segue over here. And Jonathan mentioned his name there. He was a topic anyway. So let's start with what the conversation would have been if this trade didn't happen. Earlier on this week, there was talk about Kyle Kuzma, who's eligible for an extension. He still has a year left on his contract, but he is eligible for that extension. Brian Windhorst said that he's expecting a sizable deal and hoping for a sizable deal. Obviously, he was in trade talks. A lot of the trade talk was him and Danny Green. Obviously, Danny Green looks to be off the table now. I think Kuz will probably still be up for trade. Personally, I don't know what you compare him with and what you can get back. But where do you think Kuzma's future lies? Because surely the Lakers can't extend him. Surely that doesn't work cap-wise, does it?
Yeah. So I said this on Twitter, but I feel like the view of Kuzma, there's like a gap between how Laker fans view Kuzma and the front office views Kuzma, right? Laker fans view him as an expendable a $5 million player on a rookie deal that's expiring. And I think the Lakers see him as a person they put a lot of money and time developing into a winning player, right? Which he was last year. I know his Twitter and, things are very weird. He asks a lot of questions that people don't want to hear him asking. But I feel like he turned into a winning guy, and it's tough for a guy like that. First of all, players who are picked at 28 don't even really make it to a second contract at just in terms of the numbers, the stats, that people don't make it that far. He's definitely going to get one. It might not be from the Lakers, but he's going to get a second contract. And he turned into a winning player. He was a wing defender. He was playing because of his defense. I believe he shot below 30% from three or right at 30% from three. So it wasn't his offense that was keeping him on the floor. It's him being able to defend wings. And I don't think he's going to get an extension, but you have a guy like that making $5 million next year. It gives you a lot of flexibility to work with. He's an expiring. If people want it, he'll be a restricted free agent next year. So Lakers can wait. If they get who they want next year, they can match any deal from him. So I don't think they're just going to throw him into trade talks. Like, I know Laker Twitter, a lot of people want to get rid of him right away. It's kind of funny to see that. But I don't think he's going to go for just any, like you see in this deal, he's not just going to be thrown in like this in this kind of deal, right? They could have easily probably added something and threw Kuzma in if they wanted to, but they're not going to do that. So they're going to make sure it's the right deal. And I think he'll be on the team next year. I don't think they will extend him, but I think he'll be on the team next year.
Yeah. What do you think, Jonathan?
Like, Kuzma wants a big deal. I want Scarlett Johansson to be my future wife. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like, I understand he's a confident young man who wants. He has his feeling that he's putting in the work and he wants money that he feels reflects that. But if you're not putting the effort, if the effort on the floor isn't matching the effort you're putting in, that doesn't signal like that he's going to get paid that well next off season. I have a feeling that Kuz is going to want to move elsewhere. Obviously, he'd love to stay with the Lakers and potentially get another ring. Like, that'd be ideal for him. But I'd say at this moment in his career, he'd probably rather go to another team like the Phoenix Suns or another team like the Detroit Pistons, or it's like his hometown team, and go there and be one of the guys rather than just a bench guy or a rotational piece. He wants to improve his overall value. So when it comes to the next season and when it comes to him being offered bigger money, he's in a position of strength rather than a position of weakness. Because currently, if he's going to still be behind the likes of Anthony Davis and the Serge Ibaka comes and plays more, or Gallinari comes, that puts Kuz even further down the kind of the depth chart to a certain extent with less minutes. I have a strong feeling Kuz is probably looking for a trade as much as the Lakers are wanting to trade him, because they won't want to lose him for nothing. And they're if Giannis becomes an option, which again we'll find out on the 21st of December, I think. 21st December? Yeah.
By the 21st,
yeah. By the 21st. We'll find out then if Giannis is coming or going, or if he's whatever he's doing. But yeah, I just can't see Kuz making it through the full season. I'd say the worst case scenario is the Lakers trade Kuz around All-Star break.
Yeah.
I don't see him on the roster going into the 2021 season. Unless Giannis is signed on long term, there's no real options that the Lakers feel really strong about giving long term money to in the free agent market. And if Kuz steps it up, there is definitely a world where Kuz gets re-signed, but I think he's probably shooting himself in the foot a little bit by coming out and saying, I want big money. It's like, you haven't been producing. Your rookie season was probably your best season. The next season after, you did get more points, but you definitely took a step back last season. Fair enough, you stepped up defensively, and I think his game is a lot more well-rounded now. But he's not in particularly a position of strength right now to be asking for a lot of money, especially when he knows that if he wants to play the power forward position, he has Anthony Davis ahead of him. If he wants to play the small forward position, he has LeBron James ahead of him. If he wants this kind of, I know the Lakers did experiment last season with him at the center for a brief period of time. That's probably not going to work out that well for you either. Like, he needs to find himself a situation where if he wants to get paid, he needs to move. But I don't see the Lakers just moving on for the sake of moving on from him. He is a valuable player for the Lakers, and they're probably hoping that he steps up next season. Is the like plays like he did in his rookie season, just hitting better from 3-point land, kind of more efficient, and not passing the ball better. But yeah, it's Kuz is in a bad situation, and I suppose he's not in the worst situation. He got his ring this season, so he's doing a lot better than most players in this league. But I think having won his ring so early, he's going to want to get paid. And if he stays with the Lakers and stays in the position he's currently in, he's not going to get paid the money he wants.
Yeah, like really quickly on Kuzma, he's not a guy that I feel like wants. I know you say he wants to move, but he seems like a guy that loves LA. Like he loves like the Los Angeles kind of attention he gets. He's not like Brandon Ingram. I feel like wanted another place to go and just get his. Brandon Ingram's gonna get paid now. He became an all-star, but I feel like guys like that, he's a little different. He wants like the attention and. Going back and rewatching like all the playoff games because I have nothing else to do. He hit like a bunch of timely shots. Like I think we forget there was a point in I think game 2 or 3 in Houston where we were up 2 with like 3 minutes left and he hit a big 3 in the corner. And there's a lot of moments like that where he hit a bunch of big shots. And we talked about Caruso, KCP's play, making Danny Green kind of expendable, right? I think Kuzma's jump as a defender, as a wing defender. We threw him on guys like Paul George, Jimmy Butler. He had time on those kind of guys and actually did his job pretty well. So I think that also allowed the Lakers to move on from Danny Green because he was able to step into that wing role. Luke Walton had him playing backup center at times last year, which just made no sense. I feel like that killed kind of his defensive reputation. And he was a bad defender. He didn't have a good defensive stance, things like that. But like you said, he obviously peaked his rookie year. I'll tell my kids about rookie Kuz. Like I feel like that was like a legend. That guy would have been in the Hall of Fame if that's what kept up. A dude was a 28th pick who made first team all rookie in a class. I believe I believe that was the Tatum class as well. Donovan Mitchell, all those players, and Kuz made first team all rookie. Kind of Jordan Clarkson, I think, made first team all rookie as well, but that was a little bit different class. But yeah, I mean that was a big time draft, and I feel like that was a big thing. But yeah, he's not the scorer that he showed his rookie year, but he helped us win, definitely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to follow off the back of that with a bit of praise for him as well. I think that a lot of people like just genuinely look at the points and they think, oh, he's not our third scorer, that's it. But people that are watching this, and obviously I when I spoke to the likes of like Phil Handy, Mike Pemberley, they're really high on Kuz, and I think he needs praise for slotting into the team and producing in the way that he kind of needed to, because he got absolutely slammed out of the starting lineup by Anthony Davis. I mean that, and LeBron took a lot of the ball, in his first season. Anthony Davis comes in literally probably 80% of the time the ball is going to be in LeBron James's or Anthony Davis's hands. He's just not going to get a lot of looks there, and his minutes certainly slumped. So obviously with that, it's going to look like his production slumped, and it did in numbers. And did he shoot as well as we wanted him to? No, he didn't. But I think coming in and on the defensive end and providing energy when he did, I think he pretty much. I think he deserves praise, to be honest with you. And remember, it's difficult when you're coming in and we're expecting to hit some shots, but it's difficult when you come in for a few minutes, you sit. You come in for a few minutes again, you sit, and you're not out there for long stretches of time. I think he's a very marketable player. I think he'll go somewhere and get paid. I think he'll get paid a reasonable amount. When AD didn't start and Kuz went into the starting lineup, he did average 20 points per game. So I think the scoring ability is definitely there. I don't think that's something that's just disappeared. But obviously Lakers Twitter is a very, very critical place. But I do think that, and I'm not defending Kuz, I'm pretty much there with the frustrations with you all as well, like speaking to Lakers Twitter. But I do think that he does deserve an element of credibility as well. And I think that and Jonathan mentioned Giannis, and I think it all comes down to Giannis. what is his decision? And as long as we don't know that decision, we have to leave 2021 open salary cap wise. We just have to. It's the same with the Kawhi situation. You might not end up getting him, but as long as you're in the sweepstakes, you have to keep that open. If Giannis comes and says, I'm staying in Milwaukee, I don't have a problem with paying Kuzma. I don't think I would want to pay him like 20 million or anything like that. But, if the right deal is there for so many years, I'd pay him. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think he's definitely marketable. And I think if it's not with the Lakers, I think he'll go and have a very good career elsewhere and earn good money.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And I heard Jonathan say as well that Q's going to Detroit. That brings up the next topic. Are you hinting at a Derrick Rose trade there? What are you doing? What are you playing with us there? What's that?
No, I that was always my go-to trade. I always thought it sounded just like the perfect. Even sounds weird. It sounds like the perfect Hollywood story. Like Derrick Rose completing his redemption, coming to LA, potentially win the ring with the Lakers after all the injuries he suffered over the course of the last couple of years. This would have been like a storybook ending for him, like similar to how it was for Dwight Howard this season. I don't see it happening now. No, well, the thing is, the Lakers still have the assets to pull off the trade. All it would take probably, without the first round, it makes it a bit more difficult. But it could still be like a Kuz and JaVale McGee for Derrick Rose trade. But again, with Dennis Schroeder now, it looks like it's virtually locked up. It makes kind of a trade for Derrick Rose a bit more not useless, but kind of not needed. But I've other kind of more crackpot theories now.
Of course, yes, he's always cooking up trades.
But this one isn't actually a trade, but it's off the back of a lot of talk this week about DeMar DeRozan. Like obviously now that Danny Green has now been moved to OKC. Well, in theory, it's been moved to OKC. Is there a possibility? And I can already. I think I know your answers already.
I'm nervous.
Is there a possibility that DeMar DeRozan rejects his player option and takes the mid-level with the Lakers for one season, and then re-enters the? Yeah. Okay.
So
to anyone that's listening back on the pods, me and Raj are shaking our heads. I've heard this before. He said this to me on the phone. I think DeRozan's too good of a player than that.
Not just that. That's a $17 million pay cut, and I just don't think he's doing that at 31. My problem with DeRozan, I was against a DeRozan move, and I found I was actually, I guess, in the minority in that, because I guess a lot of Laker fans were ready to just bring DeRozan on as a sixth man or whatever he was. But I just don't think he's in that place where he's still making all-star level money, but he's not efficient enough to do that on a championship level team. People are saying just throw him into the Rondo role, but that's not really how things work. You have a guy making $30 million on the bench. You can't put him into a 15-minute, 20-minute role. That just doesn't happen. I didn't like the fit. So I think obviously this move takes away DeRozan. Derrick Rose would have been nice. I thought they might have had a chance to get him last year, but I think Detroit was asking for a little too much. But
Alex Caruso, wasn't it? I think they want Caruso back.
Yeah, and the Lakers, I hope, hung up the phone very quickly.
Sounds like they did
with that move. So and now obviously with Schröder, I don't think Derrick Rose will be looked at now as they have their backup point guard. So I don't know what else they would trade for.
I have one more deal.
Quickly before you say that deal, I like Schröder over Rose as well, just because insurance health wise as well. Rose, we were kind of a bit worried, not production wise, but just his health. Schroeder's pretty much played. Obviously, he hasn't. I don't think he's completed a full season, but he's played the majority of his seasons in the NBA, and he's young. So I think for the deal that it is, Danny Green and a pick, I think that heavily leans towards the Lakers. I really do. I like it. Not enough to get his jersey, but I like it. Go on, Jonathan. What are you?
The trade would be with the 76ers. Would you do a Kyle Kuzma for Matisse Thybulle trade?
Ooh, Philly hangs up the phone very quickly, in my opinion. They laugh.
They need the floor spacing. If the pick would have been involved, I think would have been a closer deal. But I tend to agree with you. That was the deal I had in my head before this Schroeder deal got done was Kuzma and the first for Matisse Thybulle. But I think they really like him.
Yeah. Thybulle is one of the best defenders in the league already, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's just insane wing defender. He still can't shoot like that well. I think in the playoffs that kind of showed, right? Teams just Boston basically just did not guard him. They just left him alone. But I feel like he's one of the best wing defenders. Maybe, but I mean, Daryl Morey is now running Philly, I believe, right?
Yeah.
He likes 3-point shooters. You never know. Maybe he has a fascination with Kyle Kuzma. But Kuzma's a free agent. Matisse Thybulle, I believe, is signed on for the next 3 years on a rookie deal. But that would be amazing for the Lakers if Rob can swindle Daryl Morey into turn Kyle Kuzma into Matisse Thybulle. That'd be a big time move.
Yeah, I think there could potentially be another trade in the works here down the line. I think if Kuz is kind of there's potential to bump up the salary if someone like Avery Bradley's contract comes back or whatever. I mean, to be honest with you, with the way we're lining up, I think free agency is the way forward. I think just wrap Avery Bradley back up. I think I was quite surprised to see that he was actually opting in, looking to opt out to opt in to free agency. Like, I was quite surprised by that. I didn't think that would be what he would do. But if we get players like Avery Bradley back, I think Rondo's gone now, and I don't have a problem with that. He wants multi-year. He didn't produce in the regular season. Don't forget that. He's fantastic in the playoffs, but he won his ring and he can go off into the sunset. I think KCP I'd love to have back. I think it's going to be expensive, but if we could figure that out, add Caruso into that, who's obviously already signed up. That's looking like a pretty good guard rotation right there.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, most definitely. And we'll see if Avery Bradley obviously opts in, and then you have about 4 or 5 guards. And I believe you can still keep the identity of the team. That's what I was a little worried about with the DeRozan deal as well. You kind of lose your identity. So I like that they can still keep the identity there while adding a big-time offensive player in Schröder. And yeah, I don't think they're done at all. I'm just going through kind of the news here. They're still trying to, I guess, obviously Wesley Matthews. And I would love if they can get Ibaka, but I think you're right. The next will come through free agency. They can still, if JaVale McGee will opt in, I'm sure, right? That'll be another.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be like another $6 million expiring deal that they can throw in, right? Yeah, I'm sure they're not done. I believe were they the first trade of this new trade year?
I think so, yeah. Yeah,
the first basic need one, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of funny, but yeah, I feel like that's where we'll go from here. We'll go into free agency.
Yeah, it's great news. I think we're pretty much probably ready to wrap this up. I think
one more trade.
Right, one more trade, and then we're gonna say a tad bit more on Schröder. So go on, throw your trade at us.
Okay, so if this is involving the Detroit Pistons and then involves another guard, would you do a JaVale McGee and Kyle Kuzma trade for Luke Kennard?
Ooh.
Two hometown players coming back to Detroit. Luke Kennard is an injury-prone player that's going to have to get paid next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it moves the needle for us that much. I think potentially I think
this is a 3-point shooter.
I think the Lakers would be happy to just stick with Kuz. I think I'm with Raj on what you said earlier. I don't think that they're just going to throw him away for nothing. Right. I think they'd rather see him probably see out the remainder of his contract, potentially move him at the trade deadline. And, if he goes for nothing, he goes for nothing. But if you get another season of production out of him to go back to back, I'm fine with that.
I'll just play devil's advocate here, I guess. One of the guys who I follow, a friend, Duncan Smith, who covers the Pistons, he's really high on Luke Kennard. He just doesn't get the minutes or shots in Detroit, but he's a high-level 3-point shooter already on high attempts. I think he's like 6 or 7 attempts per 36 or something like that, and he shoots a really good percentage. So, and that was a lottery pick, right? Last year, I think it was was he? I think he was like 7th or a couple years ago, or whatever he was.
I didn't realize.
2017 season. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, he was a high lottery pick. So that'd be. I mean, JaVale, I believe, is just an extendable guy anyway. I'm not sure how much. I'm sure he'll start again if he plays, but I'm sure they see him as an expendable piece. But Kuzma for Kennard is interesting. It allows Kuzma to go to a place that he probably would be happy to go to, I guess, to play in Detroit.
Call it home, pretty much.
Yeah, call home. And then Kennard's a nice player, but yeah, I don't think they'll do that deal. I feel like again that's he's a small guard, so kind of he's not like a really good defensive guard as well. So I'm not sure, like you said, how much that moves the needle, but yeah, that's an interesting deal.
Yeah. So before we head out of here, what grade would you give this now pretty much completed Schröder deal? Schröder coming to the Lakers, adding some much needed versatility and scoring and youth as well, with Danny Green and the pick going the other way. Raj, what grade would you give that at this point?
I mean, I want to say incomplete for now because I want to see what they do, but probably like a B plus for right now. And then if they can get, I feel like they have something under their wing, as no pun intended, to get a wing, but I'm sure they have something else lined up here. And so if they can do that, then it really moves this trade up. But I think this is a solid deal. I mean, you get a 6th man of the year candidate. A lot of people, I think he got votes, right, for 6th man of the year.
He was robbed. He was robbed.
He was robbed. Yes, Montrezl Harrell won it. Fraud. I'm just kidding. He got 6th man of the year votes, and you got that guy for the 1st round pick, and Danny Green, who, you know, he wasn't closing that many games in the playoffs. So I feel like it's a good deal.
Yeah, throw your grade out there, Jonathan, and then we'll head off.
I tend to agree, like a B plus, A minus. He definitely moves the needle in the right direction for the Lakers. That's the main thing. Like any trades or moves we do going forward, we need to get better because the level of competition this coming up season is going to be significantly higher. We have Golden State coming back with basically a healthy array of players. They have the 2nd overall pick. They have an ability to potentially get another star over there. Then you have KD and Kyrie, if they're healthy. That could be a really, really powerful team over there. I don't think they should make a trade. I really like their roster as constructed. They probably need more spot-up shooters in Brooklyn. But yeah, they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with. The Boston Celtics will potentially get better. So yeah, we definitely need to get better. Dennis Schroeder is definitely moving in the right direction. B plus, A minus.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's definitely one that we're speaking about, this needle moving. I think it's one that definitely does inch the needle in the right direction. And there could potentially be other moves being made. I think we're all in agreement that we just have a bit of a gut feeling that there is something happening behind the scenes. So we did before, and then this has obviously come out of nowhere. So yeah, it's going to be entertaining as we head into draft week now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we're going to wrap this up. Has anyone got anything that they want to add in before we go?
Really quickly, on Ibaka, I'm not sure if we spent a lot of time on Ibaka, but if he were to sign here, he'd obviously go for the mid-level, right? The full mid-level. That's around $10 million, and that's still like a 50% pay cut for what he made last summer. So he made like $21 million. Just people to keep in mind, it's still a decision for him. But yeah, he'd be my dream pickup.
He'd be an amazing pickup.
Yeah. And so we'll come into the outro now. I think what I will do is I will put a little bit of a plug in for the guys, for everyone watching. At the bottom, there is the NBA Story U partnership. Head over to lakersuk.com/partners. Click on the relevant link. Use the promo code LakersUK10 at checkout. That can get you 10% off your order, including Champions merch. We also have, Jonathan, you got your hoodie on? We've got the Lakers UK.
That's awesome.
T-shirts and hoodies. Go on Twitter. It's the pinned tweet. Probably should know that if it is or not. But yeah, head over onto our Twitter at LA Lakers UK. You can go and pick them up. They ship worldwide as well, so you can rep worldwide. Another thing before we go, like I said on the last pod, I do G League coverage and prospect coverage for my other project, NBA Call-Ups. We are moving into draft week. Me and Jonathan, who works over there with myself, we are with some of the draft players and media availability this coming week. Last week we spoke to Cole Anthony and Kyra Lewis Jr. This week we've hopefully got a few more lined up. I don't know who, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, head over to NBA Call-Ups on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, NBACallups.com website to check that out. We are quite excited for that coverage. So yeah, back to our guest as we round up. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on. We finally got it sorted. We finally got you on. Just yeah, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, and it'd be great to do it another time if we haven't put you off and you want to come back.
No, of course, absolutely, anytime.
Yeah. Before we go, do you want to let people know where they can find you on social media? I think most people probably follow you by now, but yeah, give yourself a little bit of a plug or any work you're working on as well.
Yeah, sure. Just at Unwritten Rules. The last E is a 3. And yeah, I'll put videos and stuff. Hopefully, have some Schröder stuff up soon. I'm going to dive into that today. So I'm excited. We get some new stuff. I've been rewatching the finals games, and there's only so many times you could just rewatch those and post Anthony Davis stuff. Which so I'm excited to have some new stuff to jump into. Yeah,
definitely looking forward to seeing it. And Jonathan, where are you at?
I'm on Jonathan K NBA on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yeah, cool. So check both of them out, especially Raj, our guest today. Thank you again for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Of course.
And to everyone, now what we will get in, before we do head off, we want to say a huge thank you to our Patreon members. We've got Amandeep Vardy, both Jonathans, Benjamin, Massimo, Cole, Adam, Phil, Steve, and Jamie. Your support is much appreciated. Thank you so much. If anyone's interested in supporting us whilst unlocking the full Lakers UK community plus perks, visit www.patreon.com/LA Lakers UK. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to tell some of your Laker friends about it. You can find the Late Late Show on all major podcast platforms. Please follow, like, share where possible, and leave a review. Be sure to follow Lakers UK over on Twitter and Instagram under LA Lakers UK. Check out our website, lakersuk.com. There we go. Dennis Schröder to the Lakers. We'll catch you next time.